Good Thursday morning. Good Thursday morning, first Thursday of 2013. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joyce Esty, WRNJ's news director, and certainly a host of Newsline with Joyce Esty. And I just saying we're about to embark on our 12th year in Newsline. And as always, anytime that you have a subject matter of local importance that you would like us to look into further, we're always open to your suggestions. So if you do have that, you can get in touch with me one of two ways, jsd@wrnj.com, or you can also call me in the newsroom, and that's 908-852-7777. I don't live here, but I seem to at times, and so best time to reach me usually is in the earlier part of the day, so I look forward to hearing from you. And I look forward to meeting some more of you during 2013. Happy New Year. We have our first guest this morning, and it is by way of sort of new beginnings, because a lot of these men and women come home from the military, and they need just that. They need a new beginning. They need a way in which to re-indoctrinate themselves into civilian life and find out how to do that effectively and how to fortify their careers. We have Jerry Masin, who will help us to understand more about how Rutgers University is preparing the members of the military and bridging that gap between the civilian population and preparing them for their careers. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning, Joyce, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being here. We're doing this via the phone because I know you're a very busy guy, and this is a very big program. How long has this program been in effect?
Well, Joyce, the Rutgers Alumni Association, I'm co-chair of their undergraduate committee, has committed over the last 2 years, actually 3 years, to work with the Rutgers University Office of Military and Veteran Affairs to essentially bridge a gap between active service experience of the men and women who are students from the military to becoming students at Rutgers and eventually becoming alumni and individuals who are seeking sustainable employment. Rutgers obviously has been around for longer than 3 years. We were founded in 1766 as one of the longest established land-grant institutions in the United States. We currently have over 50,000 students, and after the merger with the University of Medicine and Dentistry, we'll be one of the largest institutions in the United States with a student population in the mid-60,000s. We currently have 1,800 veteran students enrolled in our 3 campuses.
Ooh, that's a substantial number there. Give us a little idea. Do you bring these veterans in and then counsel them, sit down, talk to them, say, what was your military training and how will we be able to proceed from here?
Absolutely, Joyce. And the whole subject of indoctrinating veterans to come back and re-enter the civilian workplace and workforce is something that has a tremendous amount of national attention. Fortunately, our government has been forward-thinking in the development of a very comprehensive set of benefits administered by the Department of Veteran Affairs for our volunteer military force. As we know, only 1% of the civilian population in the United States serves in the armed forces. So one of the things that's incumbent on higher education institutions is to really think about what the needs of a returning veteran are. And in many cases, these needs are distinctly different than a civilian student matriculating to our student bodies. As an example, veteran students are traditionally older. In many cases, they have some type of disability. It's interesting to note that under executive order, every man and woman who have served under Operation Iraqi Freedom or Enduring Freedom, which is our 2 current campaigns, every veteran who have served in those campaigns are considered to have some type of disability by executive order. And these disabilities are usually something akin to post-traumatic stress syndrome. So educators, alumni organizations, career counselors have to understand that a veteran student is bringing an entirely different raft of issues and skills to the table, and we start by assessing those during the intake process of them becoming a student. Rutgers has worked very hard to do this, by the way, and is now assessed as the 3rd friendliest higher education institution in the United States for veteran populations.
Wow. It sounds like a different dimension from previous returning veterans.
It entirely is, Joyce, for a variety of reasons. So we know that there's been large veteran populations that have returned right after World War II when the GI Bill benefits first came in place. And obviously that generation, the greatest generation, is what helped to build the middle class and the economy of the United States as we understand it. Vietnam-era veterans obviously faced an entirely different set of circumstances when they returned. In many cases, a lack of acceptance from the civilian population in the United States. And the current set of challenges that our veterans are facing is just the amount of time that they have actually served in an active duty theater. We have been at war since in various stages since 2001. So many of our veterans are facing deployments that, quite frankly, dwarf anything that has ever been experienced in the history of the armed services. Multiple engagements, as a matter of fact. There are a number of Rutgers students, young men and women, who have actually had 4 tours of duty by their mid-20s. And that is a huge psychological chasm, if you want to call it, to have to cross as you re-enter into the civilian workplace.
Not to mention that when they are re-entering here, it is it's a changing world, such a changing business world and career world.
Absolutely, and when we were talking about some of the differences in past campaigns when veterans were returning, is the unemployment rate currently is the highest that any returning veteran population have ever experienced. As an example, the veteran unemployment rate is traditionally much higher than the national average. Veteran unemployment rate is somewhere in the order of 12 to 13%. And that figure is as high as 30% in some cases for individuals between 18 and 26. And some of this is clearly related to the current state of our fiscal situation in the United States. So in addition to the challenges of multiple deployments, they're faced by a challenging economy.
Yeah, and why would that be so, all the way up to 30%, why would that be such a strong factor for them? I would think a member of the military comes home, they have certain disciplines, they have government training, military training that would make them someone that would be pleasing to hire.
Joyce, that's a superb question, and that really gets to the crux of it. So above and beyond the fact that there's quite a few of people, both civilian and veterans, who are unemployed, businesses are somewhat skittish about hiring. Hopefully, after events in Washington this week, there might be a little bit more confidence. But nonetheless, there's a variety of reasons why employers are holding back hiring, veterans or civilians. But there's a larger issue that comes into play when we're talking about a veteran population, and this is really what I call the extremity of the veteran employment continuum. So you've got some employers who think that veterans, men and women, are essentially super people. They can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and jump over high buildings. And then there's another part of that spectrum that thinks veterans had no other opportunity. Something must have been wrong, and that's the reason why they volunteered to go into the military. And clearly, those two extremities are not the way it is. The veterans are falling somewhere in the middle.
Wow.
Absolutely. Veterans bring tremendous discipline. They bring a commitment to cause, a dedication to duty, to their colleagues, their coworkers. Many are trained very specifically on high-end technical skills. They know how to respond well to training, and generally are very motivated workers. One of the challenges, though, is hiring managers in place in most organizations have no experience with the military. Their parents have not served in the military, their friends and family. So we need to spend some real time indoctrinating human resources professionals, hiring managers, and companies across the board on the skill sets that they need to properly interview veterans and then to move them along into gainful employment. Is
that something that Rutgers is also engaging in?
I am very happy to say that we are. Rutgers School of Management and Labor Relations and our human resources programs are considered some of the best of their kind in the United States. As a matter of fact, our graduate program in human resources management is the #1 human resource management program in the country. And I spend, from a former human resources practitioner standpoint, quite a bit of time with HR students and our faculty thinking through programs so that we can train frontline hiring managers, human resources professionals to be more sensitized to the needs and issues facing returning veterans.
Well, that is refreshing. I mean, I know there are a lot of online courses. I know a lot of universities are trying to avail themselves and make it easy for members of the military returning to get the training that they need here, but to know that you're also taking it a step further into and talking with companies themselves and their human resources personnel to make sure that they are understanding exactly the caliber of the individual that you may be working with. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Joyce, it's really not intended to be, some of this may sound very altruistic and philanthropic and that we're doing wonderful things, but it really is a function of if we as a society in the United States determine that our military is going to be a volunteer military, and that's, again, 1% of the population, the rest of us have an incumbent responsibility to support that. And, it's one thing to say that we support veterans because it's a nice thing to do, but if we're not going to pick up arms ourselves, then we have to support the people that are doing that. And one way to do that is to make sure that they get educated well, and then after that education, they get good jobs.
Okay. We're going to take a break here, Jerry. I hope you will stay with us. We are talking with Jerry Masin, who is Alumni Association for Rutgers University. We're talking about their veterans program, not only to help the veterans themselves to get training and get on with their careers, but also those in human resources and companies to make sure that they understand exactly who it is that they would be hiring. I hope you will stay with us.
If you want to know what's going on, keep your radio right where it is. This is Newsline with Joyce Esty on WRNJ 1510.
Johnson Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram and Bud Lake has the certified pre-owned vehicles you're looking for with a 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain coverage. Even if the car is already 5 years old, your coverage starts the day you drive the vehicle home, and you're covered for the next 5 years or 100,000 miles. The warranty covers front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and 4-wheel drive components, as well as the engine and transmission. All of Johnson's pre-owned vehicles have a complete service and safety inspection, and you'll also get a Carfax report to give you peace of mind.
Looking for a new car? Well, right now you could drive a 2013 Dodge Avenger starting at $19,550 with 0% APR. Or lease a 2013 Dodge Dart SXT for $149 a month for 24 months and $2,999 due at signing.
Stop by Johnson Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram and Bud Lake today. View their inventory online at johnsondodge.com or call 888-72-JOHNSON.
Question: how do you feel about your dentist? That answer may have a lot to do with how your dentist feels about you. At Advanced Dental Care of West Morris, Dr. Gary Vandervliet and his staff feel that the greatest compliment they can give you is to invest the time and capital it takes to provide, well, advanced dental care. That means ongoing education that allows them to provide the latest procedures and the most up-to-date technology. Case in point, in being one of a select number of dental practices in the country to use computer-assisted dentistry, Dr. Vandervliet can take digital impressions of his patient's teeth, which then allows him to do ceramic crowns, veneers, and fillings, usually in just one appointment, which means he can take a smile from damaged to dazzling in practically no time. Just check the web at thehightechdentist.com. Advanced Dental Care of West Morris is located at Hastings Square Plaza, Schoolies Mountain Road, Hackettstown, across from Greenway Flowers. For an appointment, call 852-8858.
There are a lot of good reasons to stay local and shop in Hackettstown. Here are just a few.
Hi, this is Robin Jensen with Edward Jones. Most successful investors make their money not overnight, but over time, using a specific set of guidelines. At Edward Jones, we call these guidelines the rules of the road, and I'll share them with you every weekday morning on WRNJ.
Find Westside Hair Care on Facebook and stay updated with the latest specials and news from Westside Hair. Or stop by Westside on Steiner Street for the latest trends in hair design for the whole family.
Hi, this is Joel.
And Amy.
And Justin.
And we want you to know that the Hackettstown Trading Post and Furniture Gallery is open every weeknight till 9.
Saturday 10 till 7.
And Sunday noon till 5.
The Trading Post.
It's a family thing.
Every time you do business with one of these merchants, you get great value and strengthen the local economy. And that's good for everybody. A message from your friends at the Hackettstown Business Improvement District.
You're listening to Newsline with Joyce Esty on WRNJ. If you want to know what's going on, keep your radio on AM 1510. Here's Joyce.
Thanks for staying with us. We're talking with Jerry Masin, who is spearheading pretty much the preparing of members of the military and trying to bridge the gap between this civilian population with them as they continue on and continue on in their careers and their lives, really, at Rutgers University. And he is part of the Alumni Association. Jerry, when we went to break, we were talking a little bit about how you're also, putting the olive branch out to companies and making sure that their human resources people are also aware of how the members of the military that are returning and being trained are really worthwhile to hire. I'm wondering, how are you also contacting and getting in touch with these veterans? Where can they learn more about this program that you're offering?
Joyce, another good question. To start with, obviously, Rutgers, as does an institution of its size, has an active student acquisition program. So Rutgers is constantly speaking with career counselors, guidance counselors at high schools, and the means that one reaches out to students and families who are considering a college education. However, the other piece that we're getting very actively involved in is by the building of an Office of Military and Veteran Affairs. And again, as I mentioned earlier, this is new to Rutgers, largely as a mandate from our former president, Richard McCormick. We founded an Office of Military and Veteran Affairs in 2010 for the express purpose of working with the Department of Veteran Affairs on a national level and the Departments of Military and Veteran Affairs on state levels to make sure that active military know that Rutgers is there, knows the quality of our education, understands the type of support that we're prepared to provide veterans, and then, as importantly, how we're going to connect these veterans to our nearly 500,000 active alumni, many of which are in positions to hire, many of which are in positions to network and mentor, so that we complete the entire circle: good education, good experience, and then so that you do all that, you get the career of your choice.
Is there a website that they can go to as well?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the main Rutgers website, which is rutgers.edu, has a link directly to the Office of Military and Veteran Affairs, which is the way that a veteran can start understanding what we're about from a perspective of not only education services, but counseling services, small things maybe to us, but not to a veteran. How do you apply for your benefits once you're eligible for those benefits? The government is a large institution, and it's not necessarily easy to navigate getting access to the benefits that a veteran has. And these veterans are not only educational benefits, but their health and welfare, their disability, their health-related, housing support-related. So just think that if you're a 22 or 23-year-old returning from an active military theater, you arrive in New Brunswick, New Jersey, at this large campus where you have thousands of students running around, in many cases younger than you are, and then you have to go out and apply for your benefits so that you can pay for your college tuition. This is a daunting thing, and it's daunting for a civilian to apply for financial aid, but on top of that, just imagine going through the labyrinth of a large organization like the Veteran Affairs Group. So our Office of Veteran Service is designed to help and fully integrate students into campus life and allow them to take advantage of the intellectual and cultural activities at Rutgers. Okay.
And GI Bill, is there a deadline to that when they come out of the military? Should they be registering as soon as they can?
Yeah, and that's, again, Joyce, that's one of the challenges. Unlike civilians who, a clock really doesn't run, for most civilians at least, even those on financial aid. But with a veteran, they generally have anywhere between 36 and 48 months to complete their education once they register for their GI Bill benefit for education. So the clock's running, and it doesn't renew itself. So if you do not complete your education within that time period, you lose the benefits. One of the real challenges that veterans have, and very fortunately the administration, President Obama's administration, addressed this last year, is to make sure that veterans are fully aware of the benefits and the challenges of making a choice to spend those education dollars. There's been many reports over the years of unscrupulous institutions and individuals who have, quite frankly, preyed upon veterans to access these benefits, and quite frankly, have really not provided any benefit to the veteran itself. What Rutgers is interested in is making sure the veteran gets a good education, graduates on time, and then when that's done, helps them to get a good job. And education is not only the way they do that. We help them with career services, resume writing, career counseling, and then, of course, we have our alumni, such as myself and others, that are willing to act as mentors and support systems for the veterans in terms of seeking work.
It sounds like it's full service. Everything from just getting them the help that they need and adjusting to the society in so many different ways.
Well, again, I'll give you an example. A young man who was an intern of mine this past summer. He was a 22-year-old individual, and he's right now a sophomore at Rutgers studying to be a human resources professional. He was a sergeant in the Marine Corps. He'll tell you a story at the age of 21 and a half, leading a platoon of Marines at a forward operating base in Afghanistan. Now, that's an experience most of us can imagine, and we think we can get it, but unless you've done that, you don't know. When you hear these type of stories, and again, he volunteered to do that, came from a very, very successful family, so he had a lot of opportunities, but he decided to join the Corps because that was his commitment to his country. We need to provide full services to individuals like that because the commitment that he made to us, dwarfs anything that we can do for them. So if we're full service, it's only related to the full service that he and so many young men and women and others have given to us.
Well, is that why Rutgers took such a proactive role in this?
Well, I'm a bit territorial regarding Rutgers, obviously as an alum, but I will tell you Rutgers has had a long-standing history of being very inclusionary to many walks of life. We have embraced minority education and employment, alternate lifestyle education and employment. We have been ahead of the curve for many, many years, even before people worried about a curve. So it would be natural with our general philosophy regarding open education and employment that we would embrace the cause of assisting military.
What are you finding as far as the age group that needs the most assistance, or the gender?
Well, I will tell you that out of the 1,800 or so veterans, so we use that population, the majority of these folks are mid to late 20s. And in many cases, they're not returning to college; they're going to college for the first time. So that group is, has in some cases the same challenges that a freshman has right out of high school. But on top of that, then they have all the military issues that we talked about before. The population out of that group, I can tell you, is almost right down the middle, male and female. The male to female population at Rutgers is almost evenly right down the middle. On top of that, though, we also have a number of older students returning, and this is where you get into some really interesting issues. Individuals in their 30s and 40s who, for a variety of reasons, never pursued a college career, but now, because of expansive GI Bill benefits, are doing so. So that population brings to it an entirely other set of needs. In many cases, these are men and women who have families, who have already been somewhat situated in life prior to military service. So we have counselors that are specifically trained to work with them and address their specific needs.
So is this a mixture of like physical classrooms, or are there online courses as well? Because as you mentioned, those that have other complications in their lives, such as families and and have to earn a living alongside of this education process.
Yeah, it's a combination of bricks and mortar, the physical classroom and online education. Rutgers is rapidly moving toward becoming a leader in both bridging the physical education experience to the online education experience. So at some point, veterans at Rutgers will be able to get a suite of classes that will either be physical or online. Right now, the majority is physical, but we intend to be able to address all the different teaching modalities. As a separate issue, most higher education institutions, by necessity, are coming up with online education modes simply because that's the way adult learners going forward are going to want to actually experience education. So we'll be there to be able to do physical and online.
Okay, all right. Jerry, thank you so much for talking to us this morning about how you're helping to prepare these returning vets and making sure that they have a good, fulfilling lives back here in the United States, especially given all that they have given for us.
Joyce, thank you very much for having me on.
All right, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year as well. Thank you so much.